Try to get into crack mode. What's going on, guys? It's Steeler here, back again with another episode of RDX podcast with a pretty substantial panel here. We've got a ton of awesome people here with a ton of awesome different opinions. We've got a developer who has accused Naughty Dog of cheating on their last demo. We're going to talk about that and kind of dismiss some of that. We got a ton of E3 topics and so much more. But first, we got to do the intros, guys. And if you're here early, hit that like button. We appreciate it. And we're going to start with Mr. NextGen 720, man. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. What's going on? Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. That was a great show today.
Looking forward to your opinions on the Sony stuff. I haven't heard them yet. So looking forward to that. Hey, King David, man, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. I'm muting my mic just in case that thing come through.
coming to us live from E3, or rather, you were just at E3. You're going to give us some of your impressions, what's different, what's been going on there. We appreciate you coming through there, man.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I said, come hell or high water, I was definitely going to do the show. As you can see, I'm in LA traffic right now, and LA traffic is officially real. It's just a bunch of people that can't drive.
Hell yeah. Speaking of motherfuckers who can't drive, Colt Eastwood, man, thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, I'm a good driver. I use my turn signals and everything. Doing really good. I think I got total overload from E3, like almost just brain dead from all of it. Just crazy. A lot of stuff to talk about.
I feel your pain, man. I did less podcasts this year, and I was still dead tired. Hey, we also got Crazy Greg. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good. Can't wait to hear some of your opinions on some of the stuff as well. So Shady, thanks for joining us once again, man.
Oh, not a problem at all, man. Not a problem at all. It has been one hell of a weekend. I had a house full of about 10 friends, and we were hyped. It was sweet. I am malnourished, overtired, half fucking delirious, but I'm ready to go.
That's what we like to hear. Sarah McLaughlin in the background singing. Fonzarelli, hey, thanks for joining, man.
Hey, no problem, man. You know what? This weekend has been great. E3 this year, for me anyway, was awesome. Awesome. I want to talk about this stuff, so let's get it going.
Tons of good. If you're a gamer, bottom line, you had a good time. And I'm pretty sure I got everybody right. We got a larger panel than usual, so if I missed anybody, please let me know. I'm multitasking like a motherfucker right now. So once again, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We got a bunch of good stuff to talk about, but first, I got to pay the bills. We got some RDX sponsors here. We got John Hume, we got Mel S, Chief Exec, we got the Darge Knight, we got Early Mindenthal, we've got Guillermo Calvillo, and we've also got Biggie, the Biggie. We've seen him several times in the chat. And Lethal Papa, you guys power the show. We appreciate it. And we want to get into, well, our first topic. I just did a video about this real quick. So maybe we can kind of discuss this for a minute. Z, I know you did a video.
Yes.
Who did a video? I'm not sure. So we got the Xbox, codename Scarlett, a.k.a. Xbox 2020. This was alluded to by executives at Microsoft. Then an insider, quote unquote, came out and said, hey, I've seen some data that told me that there is an Xbox Scarlett, not only one, but multiple devices slated for 2020. These things are real, apparently, and they're offering several SKUs. And since I just did a video on this, I want to cover this first. So, Z, what was your take on this? Next generation, what are your...
you know what? I said in one of my video that it may seem a little too early for some. Maybe they just got the Pro, or maybe they just bought the X. But this, believe it or not, this generation started in 2013. So we're already 5 years in. But
facts.
Here's my only gripe. Like I said, and again, I always buy the newest, fastest. That's just me. I gotta have the newest console. But I want to see, before I go out and buy Microsoft's Xbox codename Scarlett, I would like them to see in this generation. Release an exclusive that takes fully advantage of the 6 T-flops that's in the console.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, but it's a no-brainer. I mean, they're not gonna let Sony get the jump on them, and their CEO is also hinted that they're winding down. But I say about 2020.
Yeah, and I think that's completely understandable. You want to see, and I think the power has been maxed out. Just it's only been maxed out a few times by first party. You know what I'm saying? So,
what game? What you say?
Like Gears 4 took phenomenal advantage of the X and stuff.
So that you think?
Yeah. Gears looks phenomenal, man.
I'm a Gears fan.
Yeah. It looks great. It looks just like the PC version. At ultra settings to me. I played it several times. But I get what you're saying. You want to see something with newer technology in the art direction side.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Maybe it's making more sense. You have Sony again, who has the weaker console, whether it's Slim or the Pro. But to me, in my opinion, I think God of War looks better than probably anything graphically that we had thus far.
Yeah, God of War looks great. And that's a result of 5 years of hard work and some of the best talent in the world. So I get what you're saying. I'd like to see more out of the X as well. Colt, what did you get from this, man?
You actually talked to me about this almost a few days ago. I said, dealer, make a video. This is really cool. My perspective is if they're planning on coming out with the new consoles sooner than later, people have been really talking lately about 2021 because of what Sony said a couple weeks ago. With full compatibility, think about all of your games you own right now digitally. If those are going to be playable on new console, I have no problem spending $400 on an upgrade in 3 years or 2 years. I really don't. That's me personally. I'm excited to have better things going forward and to bring my library forward. Well, I think we'll see that on PlayStation as well.
I think Z nailed it. A lot of people are going to complain. What, 2020? 7 years is just not long enough. And I would beg to differ, really, and so would developers. You got to keep in mind the X and the Pro were iterative upgrades. If they didn't exist, the generation was almost a decade long. Yeah. So it's about that time. We all knew the X and the Pro weren't next gen. They were just the same thing, but faster. Anybody else got a take on this?
I was going to say that if this is true, it just kind of fits in line with more of the past with consoles. It's only the 360 and PS3 generation that was really long, and that was the oddity.
Overly, right?
I've actually been saying within the next couple of years they're going to launch the next gen consoles, and I'm all for it. And I'm a big dummy anyway. I would buy a new console every 2 years anyway, just because of that power and stuff. I'm into that shit. So.
Hey, Cole had a good reply to somebody complaining about this, and because it had only been 3 years since the X, and you knew damn well when the X came out that it was just an upgrade to kind of get you by for another few years. If you had the money, you could take advantage of it. If not, don't worry about it. And he said that, well, nobody complains buying a GTX 1070 when they know the 1170 or the 2070 is out in 3 years or 2 years after that. So you kind of got to keep that in mind that other facets, this isn't really a big deal at all.
I have a question though. If they're gonna, like I said, this narrative, when Phil said no gamer left behind, if everything's gonna be both forward and backwards compatible,
I got that impression too, actually.
So I'm just saying, if the X comes or Project Scarlett or whatever comes out, will we see exclusive software to that thing? Because they're gonna need an incentive. And I don't know if bigger, brighter, shinier will be that incentive for people to go out and to buy the successor to the X, because there was some people that didn't upgrade from the 360 to the Xbox One until they stopped making Call of Duty or So I think I know they want to actually be consumer friendly, but they're going to have to again cut it off, because again, if I buy a new console, I want to see games made from the ground up. To fully take advantage of that. How many gigs of RAM or whatever. That was my biggest gripe at the start of the generation, was too much cross-gen development. Some of your biggest multiplats that came out at the start of the generation, whether it was Destiny or whatever, you can buy it on the PS3, the 360, and the Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4. So that's my thing.
Well, Phil has spoken on that several times, and he says developers are already used to coding for several different SKUs of hardware. So you go from anything from a Pentium to an i7 or an i9, right? And certain games will let you literally use a slider to ramp up physics or animation quality. And I think they'll use more of that technology, because you can play games today on the PC.
I understand.
Designed around current day consoles, that look night and day.
Good point.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I was saying good point.
Also, I do want to say one other thing. Albert Pinello, before he left Microsoft, said that he does not ever see the Xbox One X being the new base model, meaning there would somehow be a clean break there. Which is interesting, because I'm thinking like you are, Z. I'm like, well, developers like it when they can carry their work forward, right? They don't want to start over. They don't like taking that risk at a install base of 0 again, right? They want to carry forward. And so do the fans, like, in a way. But we also understand that Jaguar cores are not going to be able to support Ryzen-powered games when it comes to if they come close to maxing out that Ryzen CPU, Jags are just going to choke and die. So you kind of gotta break it. You almost have.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
like, you know,
I can give you a clear indication on exactly what's going to happen, right? All right, so being there, talking to these guys at FanFest, and they explained that I'm going to definitely be there next year because.
Oops.
Well,
Go ahead, bro.
All right, so okay. This part is going to happen. The reason why the cloud-based technology is so important is because that extra power that's going to be in a Scarlett, that stuff is going to actually run off of hardware, right? So when you're streaming, those streaming games that they're talking about on cell phones and other smaller items, as far as the OG Xbox, you're trying to figure out how you're going to get to play these games on an OG Xbox, how you're going to take your games everywhere. That cloud-based technology is the technology that's going to push it forward. So you don't have to rely solely on the horsepower of the Jaguar to get through those Ryzen chips. Just like you were saying, that bottleneck is going to clog them up. They're going to die, right? Well, what if you offload all of that into that cloud-based technology that they're going to show you next year? And I know putting too much faith in that is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm only question about because you have, God bless his heart, people like crap. They got 2 up and 1 down. And in rural America, I mean, we don't, the most powerful nation in the world, but you still have some people really still using dial-up. You know what I mean? Even in that, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, I can, I have 300 up, 300 down. But there are many parts of America, you know what I mean? Texas or wherever, Oklahoma, some damn where next neighbor is 5 miles down. They got 2 up and 1 down.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Good point. That's a good point. And in my Xbox video, we need to talk about Xbox. I do believe it's the one with the thumbnail with the nuclear explosions and the 2 consoles exploding. It's got all the nuclear explosions in the video. I mentioned that they were going to use a Game Pass streaming service in the future, and this is before they said anything this E3, of course. And I said that they would very likely be able to use that service on older Xboxes to play current gen, meaning games in 2 or 3 years, current gen games on that older Xbox as well. They did mention that streaming service at E3. It's very possible they might try to maintain that.
Well, I'm not now. Here's the thing. I'm not negating that. It maybe come down to like a Netflix server. We're just talking about playing online and shooters or whatever. We're talking about the input lag.
Yeah.
They're going to be at a big disadvantage. You know what I mean?
That's the way it is now. But I mean, if they seem, all these companies, EA, Nvidia, Microsoft, they seem to have some type of technology that really negates that. We've known guys in the community that say that they're in the beta.
Bro, I'm all for it. Net neutrality.
But I mean, if they don't experience the lag and you can't tell you're streaming, what difference does it make? And it seems to be what these companies are going to be bringing soon. And if that's the case, I think
here's the thing.
I have a question. How much is somebody like Crap Gamer who has really slow rural internet? How much are they paying a month for that?
Check it out, Cole. This is the kicker. No, I forgot about the part, and this is not even me looking at it as the glass half empty.
Sure.
Data caps. There are a lot of people in America with data caps.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So again, I don't really see that in Trump's America. I really don't see that being very valuable. You know what I mean? I'm all for the cloud. Check out. Trust me, I damage control this shit for many years. I just sold like crack cocaine, but I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Not yet, not now. Especially
that's a phenomenal point. Data cap. People have problems with that now, so that's another issue they would have to overcome. So you're right. I completely agree there. That could be an issue, and that's why we're all confused and flustered about how they would do this clean break and how they would really provide games that do what they need to do, which is
what they have to do. Why I was getting at, how much does somebody like Crap in rural America pay for really slow internet? I pay about $80 for internet to have fast internet, and the cool thing is you get the option, like if you're somebody like Crap Gamer who lives in a bad spot for internet, you buy the bigger.
You buy the Megaton.
Yeah, you buy the Megaton.
Yeah. Shots fired.
I mean, thankfully, he's not spending $40 more a month for internet. Maybe I
don't think
that kind of
actually all
sucks, but
30 down or something.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is there's 2 options
and stuff. He doesn't have and plus he has a data cap.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is like Microsoft seems to be offering 2 ways, whichever works for you. If you'd like to stream all your games to a TV without buying the hardware, you can do that. If you want to use Game Pass, you can do that, but we're not going to lock games behind Game Pass. We're making it an option. You can buy them here, or we'll always offer them traditionally, digitally through the store or disc base. And I think that's really important because not everybody's the same. The dealer likes to point this out a lot. We're not all the same gamer. Not all of us want to play on just a PC. Not all of us want to play on just one console. So to have that flexibility, to have something where you can offset cheaper hardware with cloud-based services, but still do traditional gaming is important. And I hope that's the way they're going.
I think King nailed it when with his comments talking about with the newest, most powerful hardware, you won't need to have to cloud power any of the games.
No, we're talking about the older.
Yeah, but I know.
Yeah.
With the newest stuff, you don't need the cloud power. So if you live in an area that has terrible internet or your data caps are embarrassing, that's an option that you could choose to experience the newest, hottest games. Whereas someone that the internet stuff doesn't bother them and won't affect them, they have the option of keeping maybe even the day one Fat Boy Xbox. And the engagement numbers for these games will just go through the roof when a lot of people don't have to constantly use a system as the barrier of entry.
I've met a lot of
to get used to cloud power though, for one, because it's only been more prevalent. Like Sea of Thieves uses it for the physics in the water, not the water,
Right.
but the physics in the water. Crackdown's going to use it for the destruction. It's only going to get more prevalent. Games have used it in the past, so it's going to be interesting. Now, just for an example, a company that really tried to pioneer this and go somewhere with it, 10, 15 years ago, OnLive, right?
Yeah, online.
8 megabytes down per second back then to stream a game. Now, I'm imagining they've cut that in half by now.
Yeah,
but remember, on live, they were just doing that to get purchased by another company. That was really good because I still have mine. I mean, I'm one of those junkies that new technology comes out and I'm the first idiot on it, like the grid system for NVIDIA. I'm all over that. And I knew the Nintendo Switch would be able to do what they're doing with the Resident Evil 7, which looks phenomenal on the Switch and is cloud-based. But Microsoft, like you said, is giving them the option of, all right, you're in a bad network area. Here's this hardware. You don't have to worry about this cloud-based stuff. You can actually just play these games straight up. And for you with the fat OG Xbox that can't afford to buy this new system, exactly. We got Game Pass for you. And if you're in New York City or you're in one of these metropolises where they don't have data caps and you do have high-speed internets, this is a viable option for yourself. And if you have a cell phone, here you go.
That sounds awesome.
Well, last question. Maybe look at it this way, right? Sony and Microsoft competing, right? PlayStation 5, fine. You know what I mean? I don't see Sony doing something they both forward and backwards compatible. And again, if you're going to say console market leader or whatever the case, if you're still dealing with generations, again, I just think they have to cut it off because you need something to sell your hardware. You know what I mean? With how many billions of dollars they're going to invest in R&D? You know what I mean? What brings in the big bucks of the casuals? The diehards are going to go out there and buy it day one, right? But the casuals go out there and buy it in bulk. If you're giving the casual the option to play the same game on much older hardware, they're not going to get that bulk of sales.
The hardware sales may be lower, but the game sales could be absolutely massive. When you have new games selling 20, 30 million because the audience is huge, potentially, that's way better. The game sales are where the money is. I'd rather know that my game has a huge audience than know that someone else just owns the console.
Hey, I've got a quick break here for you. I've got a patron question by Biggie 2316. He actually wonders the same exact thing that Zaire was asking, wondering when we think that Xbox, Microsoft will put out an IP that really takes full advantage of something as powerful as the X. Because if you think about how great some of these games look on the Pro and the PS4, they would look absolutely ridiculous with the additional RAM and power of the X.
Okay.
When will they do that? When do you think that is? When do you think they'll dive in and really?
Here's the thing.
Or do you think that's Gears 5 maybe?
Again, I'm a Gears guy. I'm a Gears fanatic. But again, I'm just going to be realistic here. I don't want to say if it's down to talent or whatever the case may be. I made jokes comparing. You got one game. What's that goddamn game? The Ash and compared to goddamn God of War, right? But I'm just saying. And again, I would hate the question.
What did you just say? Ashen compared to God of War?
I'm being messy, right?
Okay, I was about to say, listen, I just played that yesterday. Stop that.
Yeah, I'm being messy. Like I said, I would hate. Like I said, the question feels integrity. You just tell me the art style. And again, maybe it's just down to the talent. Maybe Sony had to say. Maybe this better at getting more mustard on the hot dog than Microsoft currently. Again, Gears look phenomenal. Gears look phenomenal. I thought when I saw Gears 5, I thought that was probably the best looking game that I've seen this generation.
Bro.
But then I seen The Last of Us 2. Then I'm like, shit. Then I seen Ghost of Tsushima. Then I just seen Spider-Man.
Zaire, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question, a serious question. All right, and this is honest. Who has the better first party studios?
Right now, Sony by far.
It was not right now. It's forever. Okay, so like Sony. All right, so that's established. They have a pedigree, and we know that they have a pedigree because they were at a point in time when they were going up solely against Nintendo to take away that mind share, right?
Okay.
So they built this pedigree. Microsoft showed you by purchasing these studios as far as Ninja Theory goes, and I spoke with the CEO of Ninja Theory, Nina Kirchenson. The video is up on my Twitter. I spoke to her, and I asked her. I said, now that you have the financial backing, because we know that you did this game on a shoestring thread, what can you tell me that's going to go forward? Well, she said forward. They are not interfering with them in any capacity. Right?
I'm talking to who's this King David I'm talking to?
Yes, sir.
I can see my screen. Okay, Dave. And again, I would hate to question anyone's integrity. This is a drug-free environment. Anything you can say today will be used against the podcast.
Yes, sir. Listen, I want you to come at me hardcore.
No, check it out right now.
Yeah.
I'll take it out.
Ninja Theory did release a video on their YouTube channel.
I've seen the video, but check it out. Here's the thing. This going by Microsoft track record. They've been the destroyer of developers, right? You've seen what happened to Lionhead. I've seen what happened to Rare. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Sea of Thieves shit here, right? And even what they acquired, I know some people may like State of Decay. Diller, I've seen your videos. Like they advocate white shirt and for it, red shirt and for it. But critically game a goddamn 69, right?
It's better than the first game in every way, goddamn.
Okay, all right. So again, but with that being said, I'm just going by their track record and how they've been.
Studios have destroyed, though.
Huh?
What other studios have they gotten rid of?
Bungie's gone. Lionhead's gone.
Bungie wasn't there.
The curator of Max Curse of the Brotherhood's gone.
Platinum Games.
Platinum Games was
they said they were working with Microsoft again.
So they got rid of. They got rid of Lionhead, and they got rid of a little. They let a little indie studio go. Who else?
These aren't Microsoft studios at all. They
own them.
David's point. I know that Sony has some of the best talent in the world.
But here's the thing.
Let me finish this thought real quick. Santa Monica Studios, top notch. God of War, phenomenal. Naughty Dog, absolutely phenomenal. But when it comes to racing games, Microsoft takes it. When it comes to exclusive first-person shooters, Microsoft takes it. When it comes to third-person kind of cover-based shooters, Microsoft takes it.
You said?
Yeah. Gears of War, yeah. I mean, I would say third-person cover-based shooters.
Well, what about Uncharted? That's a third person.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah.
More of an action adventure open world.
That's
multiplayer, but if you want to break it down overall,
work on some things, and I think the big difference is more than anything is that the Coalition had 2.5 years to make Gears 4 with a brand new team. They already made Gears 5 look way better than 4 with what, a year and a half? They still
assets already in place, but I don't think you get what I'm saying. All right, It comes a time, right? And I'm gonna say this to be real. I'm not in for giving excuses. You are fucking Microsoft. You're a $1 trillion goddamn company. Okay. What made the 360 so great? This is key. What made the 360 so great? And again, maybe they didn't always have the best talent, right? Fine. But what made the 360 so great? They had great second party deals. Shit, Gears of War was one. So in between you getting your Halo, your Forza. And then your Fable, you got Ninja Gaiden, you got Blue Dragon, you got Lost Odyssey. That's what made the 360 so great. And they totally went away from that. You know what I mean? This generation.
I think they did it more this generation.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean,
Zaire.
There's no way you can compare the 360 library exclusive to what we have
think
now.
the 360 benefited just the same way that the PS4 is benefiting from. That it was the platform to go to. Developers like Mass Effect, right? They just brought it to 360, ditched the PS3 version because it was too hard to code for. BioShock, same thing. They just benefited.
Yeah, but that's basically how it is with the current Xbox One right now, and that's what happened last generation is happening right now. It's just a total reverse.
Yeah, exactly. I would say Microsoft relied on second party too much this generation, and that's you had most all of their games were second party, especially for the now 17 sucked, 16 was good. I don't care what anyone says. 18's looking better than 17, but not great. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think things are ramping back up, but I also get what you're saying. I do want to kind of ask Greg real quick.
Yeah, you got to pay the bills. Just in the super chat.
Okay, yeah, I'll come to it. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. Greg, real quick, I want to get your take on this Xbox thing real quick, the Scarlett thing, and I want to move on to the next topic. I got to give a shout.
Hold on a second. David, that stack's getting a little out of control, man. It's.
No, calm down, Greg. Calm down.
I'm just letting him know. Just letting him know. I don't mean any disrespect.
He said he got a net with a hearing aid.
You gotta give Lord Cognito a shout out for his headset.
Let me swing the teddy.
Shout out to Lord Fraudnito. I gotta give a shout out to 700 plus people watching live, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that like button if you can.
Everybody in the chat. Show everybody in the show. Hope you guys enjoying the show.
So, Greg, what's your take on Xbox Scarlett real quick before we move on to something a little more relevant here?
Xbox Scarlett? Well, there's really nothing for me to really say much about it, only that it's another project name, and all I can tell you is that people are just going to go on assuming what its name's going to be until Microsoft tells us otherwise. So
yeah, it's a code name.
Yep. But I have to say, I have to remember one thing, that didn't the 360 come out in 2006?
Five.
So it's 8 years instead of 7. So yeah, I also do believe it's still a bit too early for that kind of thing to happen. But
no.
It was really unhealthy with hell happening.
But at the same time, if the new Halo is coming out for that thing, I'm set.
Well, a lot of devs, industry people, and just most everybody has said that the 360 PS3 generation was just too long. It overstayed its welcome. They're ready to move on. Mm-hmm. So, we're not talking about kicking it down to 4 or 5 year generations. They're talking about making it more manageable, like 6. And I thought 6 would be great. But with the X coming out in 2017, it's a really short dev cycle. But 20 sounds good for both consoles.
Hey, I got to give a quick super chat shout out. Legna Killed Me says, "How about them cannons on Lara Croft? Looks great."
Cannons.
I don't know. You know what? I'm looking forward to that game. So, despite what the guy said about the Last of Us team, which we will cover here soon. So Sony's E3. We haven't gotten a chance to address this. I didn't feel like it was worth doing a stream over. I was honestly very underwhelmed. I'm sure there are those of you out there that feel completely opposite, and that's 100% fine. But I do want to kind of run through this real quick. So first off, there was no Metal Gear Snake Eater 3 Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remaster. Apparently, Bluepoint's supposed to be working on this. I guess it's not ready this year, but I'm confident that that's real. So if you're kind of interested in that, just stay tuned. They also hosted the event in a little tent. They opened with a banjo solo. After that was about 5 or 6 minutes of time used up. Last of Us 2 gameplay. Fonz, give me your take on this. It looked great.
It was. I just wasn't a big fan of that whole Kissa thing.
Okay.
All right. Well,
but beyond that, the gameplay looks phenomenal. I played the first one. I can't wait to play the second one.
Mm-hmm. Fonz, let me know what you think.
Yeah, I think the gameplay looked amazing, flat out amazing. Look, The Last of Us was a great story game, and the gameplay was solid. But this gameplay that they showed looked more fluid. It looked even better. It it really got me excited. The graphics
one
were,
developer, it looked too fluid fonts.
It was the most dynamic gameplay, quote unquote, I think I've ever
heard
seen.
that. I heard that, but to that developer, I have to say, these are the
We're going
naughty.
to go into that in a minute, but go ahead and just give me your impressions.
These are the naughty gods of gaming. Okay, so I believe it, man. It looked great. It looked fantastic. I can't wait to play it. You know, Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time, so I cannot wait to delve into this one.
Yeah, it looked phenomenal. If I can say, and this is a compliment, not taking away from Naughty Dog in any way, and I want to know if any of you guys agree, but the way people were dying in this demo, they have gotten so good at acting, at animation, at setting a scene, that it's kind of jarring to watch a guy being choked out while he's got a knife in his neck, Ellie then pulling it out and stabbing him in the neck again. It's like, man, it's the closest thing in video games to, I would imagine, watching someone die in real life. And it's kind of jarring as a result. It's a compliment, but it's really odd. How anybody else kind of like, wow, that's really crazy. I really feel like I'm watching a guy be hanged and his guts cut out right now.
You know, I'm
yeah, that part was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, again, that's how you say hashtag diabetic gaming. And you know, like what Sony said, I love it. This is a game made by adults for adults. I think I love it. You know what I mean? Just not even that. You remember the trailer?
Realism, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the trailer that they showed last. That was at either the game show or Paris Game Show or either at their PSX thing. And when they, I didn't realize it was that brutal when they tied the girl down and said clip her wing and she broke her arm with the goddamn hammer, banged the guy. Like that game is brutal, man. Even in that scene when she got hit in the face with the hammer, like, ooh, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like you.
That's what I want
when you're watching these scenes.
Yeah, that's what I want, man. That's something.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. I've always felt that the melee attacks, even in the first Last of Us game, where, well, the way the camera kind of moves a little, like when you do it, it kind of, gets you all tensified with the whole situation.
Tensified. Hey, Shady, what were you saying, man?
I'm saying I'm all over that level of violence when it comes to my video games. It doesn't faze me at all. It's exciting. And, you know, coming with that next Gears, I'm hoping when I blow up one of these dudes with a grenade, his intestines flying out, wrapping around one of the characters' neck like a fucking scarf. I want this shit. I want it grizzly over the top. I love that. It's good. I've grossed out like all my friends, all my family growing up. They think I'm a psycho, but luckily I keep it in-game, not in the real world. But yeah, bring it on, man. I'm not saying it's a negative. I'm just saying that it's a compliment that they could get things that realistic to where I really feel like I'm watching someone die. Yeah.
It's really crazy. Anybody else got anything to say on this, Cole?
It will become the norm. Just like Mortal Kombat did with Street Fighter and fighting games, it will become the norm. The level of brutality and murder and death in a single player game. It was jarring when I saw it. I couldn't believe that she did that when she chopped the guy's head off. I was just like, they're going for it. You know, this is when you're going for it.
It's real life. Like if you're really The Last of Us, right? And you are fighting for everything you got, you're trying to take what you can and survive. It's like it would really be. It's insane.
I was going to say that I normally kind of shy away from that kind of TV and movie type stuff. Like, there's certain games that I don't play if they're just a little too realistic and personal violence and cold-blooded violence. But this is a compliment to Naughty Dog. They're so talented that they can take such subtlety because their presentation is so well done that they can make that violence look so visceral and get an emotional response. And both the trailer last year and this one both got me that icky feeling in my gut. And that is such a compliment that they're so good that those details don't bring out any cheese or any corniness or any fakeness. Like just all of that, like that emotion is captured. And the way that they just showed the game from beginning until the end of the sequence, you know, they didn't use music. They didn't use jump cuts. They just showed that this is what the game is going to feel like.
Think about it this way too. Last of Us 2 is doing stuff that you're not even really seeing in movies, because in movies, I'd imagine it's kind of hard to get that hard hitting impact on, like what Z said, a hammer to the arm, breaking it like that. This is much more convincing because they're right up. It's a video game. No one's really getting hurt, so they can animate this to the highest quality possible and show a guy that looks extremely realistic. He's yelling for his life while he's hanging and getting shanked, and his guts are coming out. Like, in a way, it's more realistic than movies. And Charlie Walker in the super chat, man, shout out to you. He says, "What running on PC, PS4 Pro? It's running on PS4. Obviously, it's not on PC." He says, "Ghost."
What dev kit you're talking about? It's Ghost of, I mean, this game is not. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to hang on one sec. He says, "Ghost of Tsushima is multiplat." By the way, that's not true. That's Sucker Punch. Is an exclusive.
Yeah.
So, and I hear that's 2020, a PS5 game from a pretty good source. Take it or leave it. You don't got to believe it. But that's what I hear. So, yeah, looks good. All those games look good. I got to continue though with the allegations here.
okay. What did this? I missed it. I woke up late.
Yeah.
What was that?
Basically, one of the, and these tweets, or this tweet was removed, but somebody was complimenting Naughty Dog on their ridiculous animation quality, which I had done on Twitter yesterday, top-notch animation quality, because when people are dying, like it's like everything's real. Like the dude dying when she shot him with the arrows and he fell to his knees, right? Everything's just super real and accurate with the dying animations and how people are crawling and stuff. And somebody was complimenting it, and the head of Eidos Montreal, aka Shadow of the Tomb Raider, said the guy above him said it's top-notch animation. The guy from Montreal, the head of the studio, said and fake. All right. Now,
Wow.
and fake, yes. Okay.
He was
now,
on Ambien though.
I don't know. That looked real to me.
If you remember that one scene where she was running down the alley and she grabbed the bottle, seamless, tossed it in the guy's face, and then grabbed him and turned around, and an enemy shot an arrow into him, and she pulled it out and reloaded it, went into the room, and she fought another enemy, and she got tossed through, like, over the counter through the glass. Yeah. The dynamic gameplay was beyond anything I've ever seen, that I was wondering, like, how the fuck is this gameplay? But
well,
if it is,
they have clarified, and the reason he said it was fake is because apparently they've developed some kind of seamless cutscene system where it's still from the gameplay perspective or something like that, Colt, right?
Yeah, they said they worked on a seamless transitions. It's like a new thing. They actually put a video doc up on it, and this is something that we didn't learn about till about an hour ago, so I didn't even have time to watch it. But that's what I was going to say, Shady, like that bottle, and then when she was sneaking around, she grabbed that arrow from the guy's chest, ripped it out, and put it in her quiver. I normally don't use that word, but when she put it in her quiver, like, I'm like, I know The Last of Us. Like, when you pick up something, they swipe their hand, and it just magically goes in your inventory. And I thought, this kind of reminded me of The Division. Remember The Division? The guy got in cover behind the cop car, walked over and pushed the door shut, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cool! I can't wait to put doors and push them shut in The Division."
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people were incredulous that all this stuff was actually really happening in game, but to see an executive of Eidos Montreal go and fake. They said that they've been developing this seamless transition of animations, which is like this next generation stuff we're talking about, which is pretty awesome.
I think there's a hint of jealousy there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
tell them why, dealers.
It's called salt.
And then I want to carry on with something.
Well, because you look at their Tomb Raider game, and yeah, it's a pretty game, but the animations are not very fluid. They're
exactly. That's what I was going to say. They're the same as Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Same animations, almost jumping. Which it is what it is, right? If it comes between that and keeping my 60 frames, I would rather keep the 60. They didn't want to compromise on the CPU overhead and all that stuff. I get it. But
as long as the game is fun, that's all that matters.
There's a guy in the chat, Josh Johnson, that will do anything to make Sony look bad. We just spent the past 15 minutes talking about how great Sony is.
You know what it is? He didn't get a chance to hear me talk about that Spider-Man. That's what he didn't get a chance to hear me talk about. Because I said, if you don't have a PlayStation, go buy it.
Just know what you're talking about, Josh Johnson. Thank you.
And didn't we just sit here for the last, 8 minutes talking about how in defense of Sony here, saying, we believe Naughty Dog can achieve something like this?
Not only that, yeah, we're literally showing you what the developer said and taking Naughty Dog's side. So it's not that fucking hard to keep up. So here's the developer that basically said that Jonathan Cooper is the guy who tweeted out tweet is deleted now, but the head of Montreal, Eidos Montreal, just said this, blah, blah, blah. The guy from Montreal, Eidos Montreal, is David and Fozai, right? Something like that. And he has since apologized, and Naughty Dog put out a message out there that says, calm down, guys. He apologized. Here's the new seamless animation system we are working on. This is how we did it. And you know what? I guess before that new animation system, that kind of stuff was impossible in games. And that's what a 5-year dev cycle will do for you. So, I mean, that's talent. That's time.
He said, forgive me, it was a bad French translation or something like that. Like, all he said was "and fake." I'm like,
that's not a bad French translation, you fraud. That's fucking, you said it was fake.
I just hope this technology starts to show up in other games fast.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe fake in French means great.
Let me look it up.
It's the top-notch animation quality, but it's also great. Yeah.
Yeah, bullshit.
So, once again, we call RDX for a reason. Just got to keep it real. Motherfucker was full of shit. Naughty Dog called him out. And Last of Us 2, top-notch animation. It's the best I've ever seen. I'd expect as much from that team with that time. It's absolutely fantastic. Interesting story, though. Not every day does developers come out and say, you're lying. You are literally faking and making this shit up. So,
it's a testament to just how damn good it looked.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of how damn good it looks, we got almost 900 people watching live, guys. Hit that like button. We really appreciate it. Maybe share this bitch somewhere. It really helps. Followed by the Naughty Dog stuff that happened, which was the first demo. There was an intermission. It took about 8 to 10 minutes. This is where we do start to come back down and kind of rag on the conference, because these are just facts. It wasn't great. We liked the first party stuff we saw, but the presentation wasn't there. There were zero any kind of, I don't know. It's
what a terrible. I mean, they showed The Last of Us 2, which was great. They went all the way up to that gameplay sequence, and then they bookended it with Ellie and her girlfriend and brought like the emotion back. And then they went to like a 4-panel of hipsters for 8 minutes, and like they put the brakes on what should be a bang bang conference. Yeah. So here's where we are. They've got these guys. What do you think, Cindy?
Well, we got to kill time. I mean, they got to switch tents. They went from the small tent to the big tent, right? With the ultra wide, right?
And the guy had to.
You know what? I think that it probably showed well there, but not to us sitting at home.
Not good.
Maybe they got it more. You had the homeless white guy was playing the banjo.
Did you also notice that the tent looked very similar?
Eating up there playing the fucking flute. The samurai thing on. I don't know what the fuck
was absolutely.
You know what? I disagree totally. You look at that audience and they looked like they were annoyed. They don't want you.
I think they were annoyed.
You don't want to sit down. You don't want to sit down somewhere and then have to get up and go somewhere else and sit down for the same fucking.
In the first tent, they weren't even able to sit down. There were no chairs in the back.
Yeah, I think they was no. The song was too long. That solo was too goddamn long. He said, "I'm the barber of Deville, Figaro."
Yeah,
she just went on for too long.
That was bad, And if Microsoft get some flack for showing a badass 2017 Ford GT, some motherfuckers should get in trouble for showing a banjo.
Well, why didn't they have that guy play out in front, off to the side, while the camera panned over the field for Ghost of Tsushima? Like he did the flute solo, and then when the actual let him off the stage, they played the similar song. Maybe he recorded part of the soundtrack for that game, but like they showed this slow part where he was walking and checking out the sights, and then he gets on his horse, which looked beautiful. It's like that guy could have been there live on stage.
Yes.
Accompanying the video, and I don't know why that.
I thought the same thing when he was walking around. I thought, why didn't they have the flute guy playing while they're doing this, showing this?
It would have been perfect, and I wouldn't have made fun of it. And I want that guy's hat so bad.
That's waiting. Get over here. Finish.
Hey, I want to go from person to person real quick as we continue to discuss this conference and give kind of a personal score of sorts. Z, what did you give Sony's conference in relation to Microsoft's?
Well, okay. Like who are you asking me? Who I think won, or
like did you give each one a grade?
Oh yeah, okay. Are we going numbers or are we going letters?
Numbers.
Out
of 10.
I would give
numbers out of 10.
Okay, if 1 to 10, right? I would give. I would say this first of all. I think Microsoft had a better show. Showing the pacing, everything. They didn't bring that weird guy, the ID and Xbox Christian, whatever the hell.
They didn't have a banjo or a flute.
They had a good pacing. They showed, like I've always said, E3 is for the big games. The multi-plats that that they showed were great. Everything looked well. They showed well. Sony's pacing was horrible, but to me, in my opinion, I think Sony again showed the better games. And it's about the games. So I would give Microsoft
first party. You think?
Yeah, the Last of Us, the Ghost of Tsushima, the Spider-Man. I still don't know what the hell Jeff Stranding is, but I seen the naked baby and some the mouth. Walking up the side of a mountain, walking up the front of a mountain.
We're gonna go into detail on that.
But I will give maybe the games that I like. I would give them 8.5. I give my 8.5. I give Sony 8.5 and Microsoft 8.
But overall, what were the conferences? Because there's first party stuff. Because apparently, this is my thing. Everyone's like, well, it's just about those exclusives now. And I say that it's a games conference built around games, not just 2 or 3 games.
Well, from I guess we all here consider we're like the hardcore, right? So, what I maybe understand like I tell you like this, right? Microsoft did a good job of showing me that the games that I can play on my PS4 Pro or whatever. But the games, if I didn't have a PS4 Pro, the games that Sony showed will make me want to go out and buy a PlayStation 4. If we think about what Microsoft just gets teased for, Gears, Forza, and Halo, that's all we got was Gears, again, Forza, and Halo. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So
that's the way that I you know what? Maybe I went into the conference waiting for some big surprises from Mike Farr's game wise. You know what I mean?
And you think Gears of War 5 was that?
We knew that was coming. Gears of Forza and Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's the problem? Goddamn Gears popped and Gears tagged it. Blew me off my seat. But something new.
I'll say that.
Huh? What'd you say, bro?
I said they didn't spend very long on that, though. I'll say.
No. I'm not. So I'm just saying. I think Microsoft left some room for Sony to come still way up. They should have showed something new. I don't know if it was a tech demo like they did Shanghai Heights, something new. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I hear you. GLR Aldrich, thanks, bud, for the $5 in the super chat. Appreciate it.
Zaires a fraud. Check fraud. Welfare fraud.
Pony Z.
Hey, Fonz, man, give us what you would give this in relation to the Microsoft one.
I gave the Microsoft conference a 9 out of 10 based on pacing, the games they showed. Even though most of them were multi-plats, they were games that spoke to me and I'm excited for. As a gamer, I had to give that show a 9 out of 10. It was just fun. The Sony freaking man, I give that conference. If I had to base it on presentation alone, it would be like a freaking -5 because it was just terrible. But because of the games that I really want to play, I'd have to give it a 7 because those games really saved it, and showing the gameplay, especially of these games, really saved that show.
You know what? I think I would probably. Well, I would give. Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think
Dealer, you're echoing.
You're echoing, Dealer.
That's odd.
Hey, happy birthday, D.
Thanks, man.
Hey, D.
Oh, hey, D.
Hey, D.
D had to go out drinking, guys. He turned 21. He got a fuzzy navel, and what else did you get?
He got a new goat.
Yeah, I got 18 or 19 in Canada, 21 Americans. Jesus.
It's his birthday.
So Fonz gave it a 7. Colt, what would you give it?
Both of them or Sony's?
Sony's. You gave Microsoft. Go ahead. Just
I don't know. I think I gave Microsoft a grilled cheese sandwich with a couple sprinkles of garlic on it to make it just extra delicious. I think that's really tough. I want to give it a 7. It would go a little higher because they showed 4 main games. Death Stranding, I didn't like what they showed or how they showed it, but The Last of Us, Spider-Man, and Ghost of Tsushima, the way they presented those games by just showing long, extended gameplay with no bull crap was just so awesome, and it gets me so excited to buy those games, all 3 of those. So, but like that presentation, their presentation was so awful. I mean, it's just a presentation to give that score, but I mean that's not how you present a game or how you present a conference like that. It's just I don't know hell
you
they
know
could
what?
do that.
I don't think you're alone in your assessment. Jeff Keighley did a poll for both the Microsoft and the Sony conference. More people gave Sony a C than even a B, and there were not that many A's. So, and Microsoft got an A. And Jeff Keighley has over 1 million followers. Everyone kind of follows the guy. A lot of Xbox guys don't even like him, so I wouldn't even call it a skewed poll.
No.
Honestly, I just think that when you look at IGN, when you look at GameSpot, all of these different outlets, they all talk about how incredible Microsoft's conference was with very few negatives. And I just, it's kind of the consensus. You got some crazy radicals out there that say otherwise. And at least with Z, right? Z's got them really close. But a lot of these guys are like Sony completely fucking curb stomp like that kind of.
No. Sony's show wasn't good. It didn't. Maybe it showed better there in the audience, but us sitting at home in TV land, it didn't show well.
Didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Those people were looking like, what the hell is going on here?
I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I also
at least you kept it pretty,
Oh yeah, I like also. I'm sorry, what they did with Remedy, even though I know it was a multi-plat. I think
that game looked good.
Yeah, maybe that was just spiritual successor to Quantum Break 2.
It's probably the DLC
or something, or what's that? Resident Evil 2 remaster remake. I thought that was awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. So, like I said, at least you're keeping it a little more balanced than some of these guys are just going nuts. But like I said, the big polls show it. Microsoft took it, and I think a lot of people, like Luca yesterday, gave Microsoft a 9.5, and I guess Sony was an 80 if she said a B, so it was an 80 or maybe a B minus rather. So, Greg, what do you give the two real quick? We got a here.
Well, for Sony, I was actually expecting nothing less since they did pretty well last year, but I hate to admit it, I was a tad bit disappointed. But the games at least saved it for me, especially with the remake of Resident Evil 2. When it comes to those games, I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil series, and hearing that they were remaking it, I was just hoping that this year would be a thing, and it was. I was so happy. I was a little worried, though, the rumors saying it was going to be an exclusive, but thank goodness it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my terms of Sony, and of course the Last of Us and other cool games like Control, I would have to say an 8 because I did like their games, but their presentation was kind of sloppy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But now for Microsoft, I never felt so satisfied to watch something in a while. So 9.5 for me as well.
You're all about the games. All right, Shady, your turn.
All right. Microsoft for me gave me everything I wanted to see as far as an E3 conference goes. It was fast. It was hitting you hard with a lot of games. They weren't carting out awkward developer after awkward developer to just ramble on. It was just nothing but games, and there was a lot of them. And there were trailers. That's what I like when it comes to the E3 time right now at the show is awesome, awesome trailers that I can get my friends hyped up on and I can watch, well, a lot. Whereas these extended gameplays that Sony gave, well, they looked absolutely phenomenal. I know I'm not going to sit through a 10 or 15 minute gameplay numerous times. I'll watch it once or twice and I'm done. I like the trailers, and so 9.5 for Xbox, 6.5 for Sony is what I gave it. I don't think what they wanted some weird reaction for the live crowd when they realized that when the trailer started that they were in the same building that she was dancing with her girlfriend with. I don't think it was worth it. Definitely not on the home front, and I don't think even the live audience gave a shit at all. They're there to see games too. So yeah, they showed awesome games. Their gameplay was really nice, but I want to see digestible trailers, so to speak, and more of them. And I'll go and I'll dig for more gameplays and stuff from all these sites that tend to have just tons of it for the whole week of E3.
Mm-hmm. Eternal Shaddai in the super chat gives Microsoft an 80, Sony a 70. Appreciate it, brother. Alderidge says Zaire's a fraud in the super chat.
Appreciate it.
Rude.
Drop another 10.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's and like I said, take each man of their opinion here. Everyone's DMs are open. You got a question, just shoot them a fucking message. Not a big deal. Who else is left here that has everyone? D, are you in here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm right here. I'm King's right here.
I want to get David here because he ain't said much. He's driving in peace.
No, actually, I stopped. I'm ready. I'm at the compound. I'm just listening to you guys and absorbing all the information. Now, I was at FanFest, so my opinion is going to be hella skewed. All right. and I knew Phil had to put up a shut up this year. My neck was on a block, and this was either going to be his greatest failure or his crowning achievement. And when he stepped up to the podium and he gave all the stuff that he told you, 50 games, 18 exclusives, and he ran those games off, and they had no time for mincing words. They just showed you game after game.
5 new studios.
Yes, a guy come out, he'll tell you we're investing in the future. When they went to that streaming stuff, he had to rebuttal very quickly with, and also the new hardware. All right, so from that standpoint, in saying that Sony wasn't in a do or die situation, Microsoft was. The world was looking at what the hell Microsoft was going to do, because Sony told you this is our game plan. They gave it to you. So they put the ball on Microsoft court and they said either they're going to crash and fail or they're going to win. Microsoft came out, hit a home run. I give them a 9.2. And the 2 points is only because I was at FanFest. That's it.
So what would you give?
But Sony's, it was so awkward, and I'm not used to Sony failing in presentation. I actually looked at Sony with their studio backing to give you some drama. Last year they had people hanging from the ceilings. I mean, I'm talking about real stuff. Is this a king sitting on the throne getting blow-vaded, doing a victory lap? Did we just see Sony, wet the bed? I don't know, but I know the game saved them. I know I saw games that said, okay, I'm purchasing that. Can I pre-order it now? So from that standpoint, I have to give them an 8. And they would have had it as far as the gameplay wise and presentation if they brought the presentation up. The presentation was so horrible, it brought their score down by 2 points for me.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm more about like games in general. Like I'm just like, what can I play this year? And both of them, Microsoft and Sony, had one exclusive you could play this year, Spider-Man and Forza.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think Spider-Man is more appealing to more people, but if you're a car nut, there's no other way to go but Forza, right? So it really just depends on who you are. I think they're both going to be grade A type games, and I think your assessment there has got a lot of great points as well. D, real quick, man, we've been on this topic for 5,000 years. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with Microsoft. I'd like to give Microsoft a 9, but I have to dock them for not showing new IPs. It was promising that they open up these 5 new studios. I know stuff's gonna come down the pipeline now for sure because they got these studios. We got a new console coming on the way, and they showed game after game after game. And I didn't mind that they were multi-plats because first of all, they're gonna look the best on the X anyways. So it was satisfying. I got to see all the games that are coming out, Cyberpunk 2077. So overall, if I'm judging the show altogether, even though they didn't have new IPs, still it was a great show, great presentation, lots of games. I'm a gamer, I want to play games. I give them an 8.7. Now Sony, their presentation was horrible. It was horrible. The pacing was horrible. They started off with The Last of Us 2, and then right away they went to a break, which was just stupid. Now, what I did see from them, their games, their first-party games, they look fantastic. Like The Last of Us 2 blew me away. Ghost of Tsushima looks fantastic. The Quantum Break kind of game, Control, whatever. It looked fantastic. Everything they showed me looked great. So because of that, I bumped them up, even though their presentation was horrible, and I'll give them an 8.4. So just a little bit under Microsoft because of their presentation, although their exclusives were shining. But overall, Microsoft just had the better show.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're with most people. You know what? And like I said, we all won. We all got a lot of really cool information. And you know what? E3 made Inside Xbox tolerable. There's actually a lot of good information in there.
Yeah, it was good.
Inside Xbox. Like for instance, Rob Ferguson was there talking about Gears 5, right?
Yeah.
And he asked about the ice sled in the trailer, right? She's using that thing to get around on the ice. He said that you can take that thing from anywhere from areas that are covered in ice, and you can take it and drive it in the desert, implying that it's some kind of open world game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more than implying, yeah. And I never even caught that when.
Yeah. They even showed new snippets of Gears 5 that were not on the stage at Inside Xbox. So that stuff's interesting. They got the budget. Phil said they're investing more in the games they've already got. They bought the 5 new studios. He also said on Inside Xbox that they've owned some of these studios for quite a while, but it just never leaked. So they own these guys for
you also need to add into there that that it's implied that Halo Infinite is going to be. It could possibly be a
Halo Infinite is an open world game that will come out probably in 2020. It's a
so two tentpole franchises that were normally basically corridor shooters are making the jump to open world, and that's absolutely
at least in some way. Yeah, I think Halo Infinite's definitely open world. I know that it's a next generation game. You're looking at 2020 for that game probably. And they developed an all new next gen engine for it as well. So they're taking their time. They're going back to the roots. We'll see how that works out for him, man. But nonetheless, we got to kind of skate through some of this other stuff here.
Oh, I just want to say real quick here, guys, is that just for some perspective, Xbox conference showed off 50 games, regardless of where you can play them or if you're interested. The entire industry as a whole at E3 showed off equal to that, maybe. Like, that's pretty insane when one show shows off as much as every other show combined, more or less.
Yeah, that's insane. And there was no real cringy moments. There was very few slowdowns. I mean, they mentioned Game Pass, a lot of good stuff for Game Pass people now. But other than that, yeah, I thought it was fire. So we did cover, and by the way, shout out to over 900 people watching live, guys. Hit that like button if you can. It really helps more than you know. I do want to skate through some of these other games. So they did end up showing off after the dude came out when they moved everyone to an ultra wide tent, right? A different tent. The dude with the flute came out and just started, going to town on that flute for a good 6 minutes. And then they showed off Ghost of Tsushima. We've already talked about that a little bit. Looked really good. A lot of people are saying that's a PS5 game. Take it or leave it. Like I said earlier, not sure. We'll see. They showed off Control, which is Remedy's new game. That's P7. That's a multi-plat. They showed off Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is a multi-plat. It looks great. Some bathtub guy game. What was that, Colt?
Oh,
I'm the bathtub guy.
Over saves the universe. Over. It looked hilarious. I guess whatever the guy that is writing it is narrating it. So like he gets to pour his guts into that game. He wants to make something funny and interesting and quirky, and he also gets to voice the main character. So
it's from the Rick and Morty creator.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It should be funny at least then.
Kingdom Hearts 3. I keep looking at these demos, guys. I'm sorry. I ain't fucking with this. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm sold on that, man. I can't even lie to you. Everything that I saw over E3, man, I am sold on it. It looks so clean and crisp.
I mean, it's going to be on Xbox for people that love those games. That's great. But personally, I look at these trailers and every one of them I see, I'm like, all right, they took more acid. I don't really know. I just don't know. So
I played it. It's really good.
What'd you say, David?
I played it. It's really good.
Are you a Kingdom Hearts fan?
Yes. So I'm dying for this to come to Xbox. I've been waiting for this game to come out, and the fact that when they said it's going to come out, I can get geared up for it. It looks really good. It doesn't have as much slowdown as the trailers indicate. I think they were showing old builds on the trailers. The newer builds that we played yesterday were really good. So the game is very colorful, very bright, like you want it to be. It's a Disney game, and with action, and it's just, it gives you more of that Kingdom Hearts that you wanted. So if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, it's going to give you more of what you want. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Hey, Z.
What's that?
Death Stranding.
Get babies in the ass in the man's mouth.
Go in.
Okay.
Tell the people here what you saw and what the hell.
What I saw? You were okay. That was soft porn without the money shot. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, listen. Right?
Okay.
I don't know what it was or what. I mean, I still, like I said, Kojima is always becoming wacky and out there. I remember I completed Sons of Liberty 2 on the PlayStation 2 Metal Gear, and that was something happening in the virtual reality. Wasn't really happening, but I still don't know. It reminds me of, honestly, No Man's Sky. I walked up a mountain. You walked sideways in the mountain. You had a package on your back. You had a body on your back, and she swallowed the worm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's an action game, a fighting game, a horror game.
So far, it looks like it's a scavenge and survive without shooting anything.
I want to go in guns a blazing. But maybe it might be like a horror game or something.
Maybe. Just so people know, if you didn't see it, which I'm sure you did.
It's weird.
This game was ported from the Fox engine to the Decima engine, so they could kind of build this thing faster, which is the Horizon Zero Dawn engine, by the way. They showed what's that guy's name? Fucking Norman Reedus walking around with different packages and containers on his back, just walking. All of it was walking. Then they switched to a bit of sneaking, and then they switched to some real-time cutscene stuff where the interesting stuff happened. But there was no action at all there. If that's your bag, that's your bag. But right now, people are calling it the FedEx simulator for a reason. You're delivering packages and dead bodies, apparently.
I still don't understand any of it at all, and I don't think we ever will. Even when that game drops, nobody's going to get it, but there's going to be those artsy motherfuckers out there that say, oh, you just don't get it. It's too highbrow for you. Fuck
No,
off.
it's basically Hideo Kojima fans, and to be honest with you, all his games have been pretty whack.
Yeah, Kojima. Is one of the
That's
most-
Crazy Greg Films at Crazy Greg Twitter. Go ahead and attack him there.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're shit. I like his games.
No,
I just notice there's a lot of whack stuff in it.
I mean, naked baby asses down throats now. I've heard people say Kojima has his head way up his own ass, but this is not what we meant. Maybe he needs a translator.
You know what's odd is it's like when he kind of activated the baby and he plugged a cord into his ass and the baby lit up, right? And he tapped on the container that the baby was in. The baby's like, "What do you want, bitch?"
Yeah.
And the baby looked at him and was telling him what to do. Like, "Hey, go this way."
You know what? At this point, I think Kojima is just trolling Sony because this game looks like it has no point at all. It looks like he doesn't understand where it's going.
I've played enough of Kojima's stuff to realize he kind of, I think he does it well, but he makes it up as he goes along. He kind of like makes his own rules. And I played a lot of the Metal Gear games. I'm like, where is he going with this? And those of you who've played all the Metal Gear games, like, do they come to a round like explanation, or do you kind of accept it as, wow, this was like a mind F?
Yeah,
Everything gets explained through a very long conversation in all the Metal Gear games. It's basically you got to like just sit through it and listen, and then play.
It doesn't get explained. Explain to me MGS5 or 2. There's a lot of weird shit in those games that
Listen,
never.
when he did the Lolly Lily Lalu, I left him alone.
Like the
That
first
guy
Metal
is
Gear,
crazy.
for instance, the first Metal Gear is after several other Metal Gears. Like they're all out of order.
Yep, he's overrated and hashtag throat babies.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say that because I'm sure he's got his fans, but I was actually interested in Death Stranding. I talked about this when they unveiled it in a video, and I was like, "This looks really crazy. Like it looks interesting." I am perplexed by the oddities that I see. There's so much stuff that I have no clue what's going on. There's got to be something, and then I see the gameplay, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna give you a little bit more time, Kojima, because this delivering dead bodies and to necrophiliacs." I'm not into it. So
he's not gonna drop it. It's gonna be a 9 out of 10. It's gonna do things that a lot of games don't do. Not a lot of people are aware. There's like a time mechanic, like a jumping through different time periods. Like I don't know how it works, but it's part of like the curtain and all that stuff. And a developer was leaking that it does things that no other game does. And it's going to be crazy, but some people are going to put themselves in a straitjacket by the time they're done playing that game. It looks crazy.
The sci-fi junkie in me really hopes it's damn good. It looks interesting. And I mean, I'll deliver future pizzas in that world if that's all you can do. I just want to see it.
I want it to be good too. I do. I love Hideo's games. I just hope it's not going to be boring.
You love it.
Anybody else got a quick take on Death Delivery?
It looked fantastic. Lot of walking though, and I guess they did that just to show the environments. Like graphically, it looks.
I don't think so, D. I think that was a major part of a major mechanic. He had several different types of packages, load sizes, even a dead body at one point.
True that.
That's a major mechanic of the game.
Nonetheless, it still looked really, really good, but we don't know anything about it. Like, I still don't know anything more, and I saw gameplay. Like, come on, man.
It's a game where you don't really shoot anything. You just walk around, and you got to be quiet and not breathe. I don't know. I don't get it.
I was going to say, Dealer, did you notice that with all that walking, he was like staggering and tripping and falling in the water and stuff? You want that in games. This one's bringing it, but if that's all it's bringing.
When he's walking over jagged rocks and stuff, like, the foot movement and the animations and the walking there were very refined, very complex, and I liked it kind of stuff.
Hey, shout out to Adverse7. He said Death Stranding Package Royale.
You got run around knocking stuff off his back. Ha!
You got 100 people on the map. You all got packages you got to deliver, and you're all going to be picked off by these invisible monsters, and you got to survive the longest. So we'll see. They showed Nioh 2, a flash trailer, no gameplay or anything. And then the Spider-Man demo, just to round this out. I know this is mainly an Xbox podcast, but we got to cover this. The Spider-Man stuff is the thing that I'm looking forward the most for, because for one, it's the only thing that got a date. It's the only thing coming out this year, and it actually looks great. It looks like Arkham on crack. It's a little faster. The animations on Spider-Man are pretty insane. Like I said several times in the show, day one for me. Z, what do you think about it?
Spider-Man looked amazing. It looked better, especially I was blown away that prison scene with the lightning on the ground. I mean, I'm all about it. I think that's the beginning of the game because he's surrounded by all the bad guys, and I guess you got to put him back in jail so they can escape. But yeah, I can't wait, man.
I feel like that's the introduction to the game.
Yeah, so I said, you know what? But it also put me in the mind of Arkham series, like, you know, you jump from one character, one combo, jump over here, another combo. But it looked great, though. I can't wait to play it.
Speaking of Arkham, Rocksteady did not debut that.
I know.
I was actually
or Activision.
Too.
They didn't Square Enix didn't unveil Avengers. Rocksteady didn't unveil Justice League or Superman. So looks like you're gonna have a major shootout next year. But back to Spider-Man. So you thought it was impressive. So did I. Anybody else want to jump in on the Spider-Man action?
Yeah, Spider-Man's actually in the chat. I wanted to say hi. I can't wait to play you this October. Everybody say hi to Spider-Man.
I do believe.
Yeah.
Or November, whatever.
So Colt can't wait to play Spider-Man. D, what do you think about it?
Honest to tell you, the level of detail was amazing. Like you, I look at all the little things that make it go, and like the animations, like all the characters on screen at one time. You know, even the frame rate looked good. I don't know what to say, man. I'm extremely impressed. I can't wait to play this game September, and I think that and Last of Us really, you know, were the best parts of that Sony press conference, man.
I do have one criticism, and I brought this up when Game Informer debuted the gameplay. Every time Spider-Man knocks someone out, you can't help but know that motherfucker's dead.
He was like kicking dudes off of buildings, man. He was killing guys more than Batman.
On the ground at like 8,000 miles an hour. He'll slam a filing cabinet over their faces. Like I would have loved for them to make him a little bit more intricate and less deadly, like just up in the air, swinging dudes over his head like a sledgehammer, straight into the ground. You know, it's a game, and I get it. They wanted to go for that, but that's the first thing I thought. That's the only thing bad I can think of, though.
Yeah, he picked up a car door and smashed it over somebody's head, and I was like, "What?"
The brutal better.
Webs him in the face and just swings it around at 80 miles an hour right into a concrete post. And it's like, "Oh, don't worry, he's
not the first time I've seen Spider-Man do something like that in a video game."
Arkham Knight, though, Batman was running motherfuckers over in the Batmobile, though. So you know,
he's carefully just cradling them into the Batmobile. They're safe.
Yeah, as I was watching that live feed, I was watching the live chat as well, and somebody wrote, "Now that's Spider-Man." I'm thinking, no, that is not Spider-Man. Spider-Man don't kill people.
It's an adult Spider-Man.
He's apologizing though. Did you guys listen? He's like apologizing while he's beating people up, and he's making little quirks. So they nail that like young Spider-Man, the Peter Parker thing. It's great.
But I do want that game. That game looks so good. It looks so fun.
Yeah.
The lighting effect on it is really good. The HDR is, you can really see the time of day. It's really amazing when you get down to street level. The street level characters, it really pops. I think that's the best game coming out of the Sony camp this year. I have played God of War. I have played it from top to bottom. That game.
So have you seen Spider-Man in person?
Yes. Again, shameless plug. I got a lot of footage of it.
Nice.
but
here, man,
I really
initial impressions.
Yeah, I really honestly think these guys, y'all haven't seen like the proper feed that they were showing. I don't know why they were showing that trailer. Because if you actually just play the game, the street level, when you get down to the street level, the NPCs that are walking around, it looks like that trailer that they showed where he dove out the window. It looks just like that, and I thought they couldn't achieve that, and they did, and it's blowing me away. Like you charge up, it's like a fighting game, right? And you charge up your super meter, and when you do your super meter, it turns into a cinematic. So whatever enemy that you hit, it turns into a super cinematic, and the game is top notch. It's the best game I've seen this year from these guys, and that's saying a lot when God of War should be 11, not a 10.
So animations were there on point. NPCs were all there on point, and we won't.
It's better than you think.
At another E3, I'm not a fan of that on either side. I don't like seeing games for 3 years in a row. So I'm glad that we get to go ahead and play that this year. That's great.
Yeah, what's the date on that?
September.
Isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was
September,
October.
Right?
Let me
No,
look.
it's October 8th, right?
Yeah, let me look.
They ain't
God,
scared.
October is packed.
I thought it was October.
October is packed. They chose October. They
Oh,
chose
September
February.
7th, man. Holy crap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know it was early in the month. I
I got to go hide my wallet somewhere. It's going to be nuts.
When's it coming out?
September 7th.
September 7th. So
October 26th is Red Dead. I mean, at least it's not February 22nd, right, guys?
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, February, there's a lot of games coming out, and that's going to probably put a hold on some of those games.
Hey, did we make it clear that Control by Remedy is a multiplat?
Of course it is.
Okay. It wasn't really made clear the other day, so.
Yeah, they already clarified that on their website. I learned that the hard way. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Because you know what? This is probably Ubisoft's worst year in a while.
Oh, my goodness.
It probably was. Let us know in the chat if you agree. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it looks like and this isn't an insult, but it looks like a giant Origins expansion, but with the might of a three-year AAA team behind it. They've got Black Flag style navigation. Island hopping is back. You got your boat, which is now upgradable, and kind of your base, just
like full boat combat, not just canoeing around in that little.
Yeah. And it looks like the water's improved. Everything looks improved in that regard. And like I said, you're taking that boat from place to place, just like Black Flag. So if you missed a lot of that Black Flag stuff, you'll probably really like this, actually.
I think a lot of people get that DLC vibe just because it happens to take place with a lot of sand again in the two environments, but it's massively different. And who doesn't want to play as like the kids of Leonidas from 300 and reenact the Battle of Thermopylae there? Like, this is insane. The only thing I thought that was missing was there was no hidden blade to be seen anywhere. There was no typical, Assassin's Creed hood. It was just missing the Assassin's Creed feel. All it was
I saw the hood. I saw some customization stuff. You can change into more assassin-oriented kind of.
Well, it's not that it's not going to be in the game. Just during their presser when they showed it off, it was like this, 300 simulator looks amazing. It's called Assassin's Creed, but in the trailer, in the footage, there anyways, they didn't show
open world Rise,
the typical. Yeah.
If you remember,
I'm hyped.
We covered what is now known as Odyssey probably 5 months ago in RDX. We told you guys about the Assassin's Creed game that was set in Greece or whatever. We also told you about the dialogue options that the game has been confirmed and shown to have. And I've listened to some people that are big fans of Witcher 3, and they say it's definitely closer to Witcher 3 than Origins was when it comes to the way it plays out in the side content.
The fact that they didn't really take much time between Origins and this game, it kind of worries me that this game may not have any of the. It may have the same actually mission structure and stuff, and I think that that was a problem with that other game with
Origins. It does have 3 years dev time. They didn't just cook this up in the last year.
They were doing it consecutively.
Thinking that's happening.
Overlapping, right?
Origins had a lot of shitty missions. Let's face it. And if this doesn't have any different missions, I don't know, man.
That's creepy.
As long as there's a throat to slit at the end of my mission, I'm usually pretty happy with it.
Well, I don't like walking into a fort, picking up a guy and walking out, and then putting him down on his feet and then him walking away. I did that so many times in Origins. It was
Shady doesn't have much time in Origins at all yet, but yeah, I mean, you'll see that the mission design there is lacking. The side missions, the dialogues, the meaning of intertwined side missions is there. And keep in mind, Witcher 3, that stuff matters. That's a new mark. So
yeah, the atmosphere was great. The way the music swelled while you were out and around the open world. Those of us who liked Rise, the 27 Xbox guys that liked Rise Son of Rome, we kind of get this open world Rise successor.
Mm-hmm.
The visuals are very much like the way Rise is presented. Dealer sold me when he dug into the information and said full boat combat is back. And I've always wanted to go back and replay Black Flag on the Xbox One because there's new achievements and kind of redo that. But that game's antiquated at this point.
The combat, it's too hard. I can't play Rogue. I bought the Rogue. Right. I can't play on the combat's just all that stuff's antiquated now after Origins.
And so Dealer took me from I'm kind of that could have been better to. I'm not, Dealer and I both we're talking about how we'll probably watch for that thing to go on sale not long after it released. Maybe if it hits a Black Friday sale or something, but
Yeah, yeah. Zaire, did you check this out? Have you played much of Origins?
Yeah. That's just, I no my problem is with those type of games. It's just too much to do. I
Mhm.
just like to be on the straight from point A to point B to point C. You know, I hate games. That's why I don't like Grand Theft Auto. It's just too much going on.
Z
Like
got that
games
ADD.
linear.
Yeah. I didn't even do the side missions in goddamn God of War. Straight to the main story.
Same.
No wonder you're a pony now, bro.
Yeah, I just like straight. It's just too much going on, man. I get sidetracked.
Biggie 2316 says he's excited for Skull and Bones. Yeah, we saw a little bit of that. It looked like Black Flag ship combat, just with multiplayer and some additions that made it look pretty interesting. Anybody check out Skull and Bones at all?
I thought that they
Don't see it,
showed
please.
it amazing, but I thought that it's not going to play like that. Like they have angles all over the place. There was a lot of heavy editing in the trailer, so I think they made it look more exciting than it's actually going to be. But I think it's going to be an awesome game.
You know, it's going to be more exciting than Shady.
Sea of something.
I mean,
There's
look at the
adult Sea of
visuals.
Thieves.
10 times the gameplay features, 10 times the visuals. Like, oh gosh, it was so embarrassing. I was watching the
You
live
can't
chat.
chase chickens, Colt. I mean, come on.
Hey, we got to give a shout out to all the guys watching us still. We know we're talking about stuff that's a little older at this point, but we appreciate you sticking around. If you haven't, hit that like button, guys. It really helps. I do want to cover Fallout 76 real quick because there was a lot of information dropped here recently, and a lot of people were confused. I thought this based off of a leak from a guy that knew the name of the game way before it was announced. He said it was kind of built around, well, I guess he was kind of technically right. He said it was Fallout 76 was a game that focused around the building elements of Fallout 4, and they did go into how you can build your own houses and forts and move those anywhere. It does have a lot of that. It's kind of like Rust in that it's a kind of multiplayer game where every NPC is apparently a real person, and you can build out your house wherever you want. It's going to get attacked by AI and multiplayer people, and then you can move that and take it around. They don't want to punish you for dying. They don't want to. All that stuff was kind of reiterated on. They don't want to really punish you if you get killed by people. I'm guessing you'll just kind of respawn with your stuff. I don't know, but apparently that's like Fallout 4, but it's kind of based in multiplayer. If you want to play it solo, you still can. They'll have narrative-driven missions, just like Fallout 4, hopefully improved. I don't know, and there's nuclear keys. If you collect all the keys,
Yes.
Shady, what did you get from this whole thing?
It was more or less exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's way bigger in scale as far as an MMO is concerned than I thought it was going to be. But as far you just go out and you know, it's kind of survival in the Outland there. Speaking of the Outland, it's 300 years before Fallout 3, so it looks totally different than the other Fallout games that we're accustomed to, which is a nice refresh on that. But I'm looking forward to running out there with my buddies. We're going to try and get these nuclear codes. Speaking of which, attention to Hubert over in the Sesh Empire. He's in charge of recruiting if you want to come and look for him with me. But we want to blow some dudes right off the map and see what
Apparently
the hell
they're really hard to obtain. Like people are fighting over these codes, and they're really hard to get. And when you do nuke an area, which you can nuke someone's fort or whatever, like whatever you hit, it's gone, and it leaves a crater, I guess. And higher level irradiated type enemies will be there, along with better loot. So if you want to go into the crater and the nuclear fallout, you better get some power armor, team up with some friends, and go after it. Greg, what were your thoughts on this?
Fallout 76. Well, I only got into Fallout since the fourth one. I tried the third in Vegas, but I couldn't get into him. Fourth one I could. But yeah, I was a little worried about it being just a build-up game and everything. But when I saw the 4-player co-op gameplay, I was pretty hooked. I liked what you could do. I also liked how the whole Duke thing was a thing. But a part of me kind of wondered, how are they going to balance that where it's not going to be overdone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I kept on asking myself, imagine if someone left the entire world a crater.
Well, one quick question. How are they going to do VATS?
I just read something on that. It's going to be real-time VATS.
Kind of like the Deadeye is online on Red Dead. You know, you can...
Yep.
It just happens so fast. It's almost too difficult to use. But one of the big problems is, what are they going to do about griefing Fonz? What are they going to do about people who get in the game and just beeline it for real players and gun them down?
Well, that happens in any traditional MMO or online game like this. I mean, that's what you're going to have to deal with. Because hell, I'm going to do that with Forza Horizon with you guys. I'm going to fuck you guys up. Anyways, yeah, but Fallout 76 to me, the VAT system. I'm glad that they finally said that those are going to be in there, because the gunplay in Fallout 4 is horrendous. It's not very good. So I don't think that's going to be much fun. Even if you're with people, the gunplay sucks.
You don't like the gunplay in 4?
Nah, it's terrible.
Jeez,
it could have been tweaked a little bit. It got a lot better than 3.
I think it's pretty good.
I really thought it was good too.
Nah, I think it's terrible. When you play other shooters,
my name's Fonderelli. Everything in this world sucks.
Oh no! But when you play good online shooters, and then you go to that, it's come on.
Yeah, you're right. Also, it's got 4 times the map size of any other Fallout, or Fallout 4 rather. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty massive and pretty interesting. I'm guessing, Zaire, you don't give a backflipping butt fuck about this game.
What? Oh, no. I'm not into Fallout.
Yeah, D Batch, you playing some games?
You know what, man, Fallout's just too glitchy, and I know people like that, but I just could never get into any of the Fallouts. I think it's interesting, some of the stuff that they're bringing, like the always online, so every NPC is like, a real player. I think that's pretty cool, and it's a new take on it. And I guess for the people that are hardcore Fallout guys, I guess this is good news for them, but I can give a rat's ass, to be honest.
Good shit.
Wow.
Good shit, D-Batch. Good shit. Hey, I got, and I apologize to some of the guys on the panel here. We got a lot of people here. We're not used to this, so not everybody got to speak as much as I would have liked them to. But I do want to close out the show with a question from the Darj Knight. He mentions the new quadruple A game studio Microsoft are setting up in Santa Monica, California. The initiative headed by Daryl Gallagher, very experienced guy. Just to get into the studio, you need like 10 years of experience in the industry, or 5 years or something. It's pretty high standard stuff. They said they got some ridiculous talent already there. He wants to know what the first type of IP should be from that studio, meaning RPG.
I can tell you what it is.
You could tell me what it is.
Let's go.
I can tell you what it is.
Let's go.
I tell you what it is.
All right. Oh, I want you to hold me to this, because I was just overhearing a conversation and I was just being extremely nosy.
Guy in the corner. I'm here,
Exclusive eavesdrop coming in.
Yeah, super eavesdrop RPG.
Well, every game's an RPG these days, even Forza Horizon.
No, I mean in the traditional sense of it.
Like
that's it's. I hope it's like The Witcher. But I guess when they heard me listening, they like buttoned it up, because they were talking about it, and I knew I was gonna have the interview with
who's they?
Were you standing like right by him with like your chin on one of their shoulders, like?
Right. Okay, so listen, when I started talking to Nina from Ninja Theory, right? My interview was next with her, and the Coalition guys were standing there and they were chatting, and they were standing and chatting with the Initiative guys, and my Connect told me, okay, we're gonna have you talk to those guys next, and we have the Sea of Thieves dev right after. I said, okay, cool. They were too busy chatting away because Microsoft was giving out drinks, beautiful drinks, mind you, at FanFest that they don't normally have.
Releasers,
and they gave you, but it's a 2-drink minimum. They didn't want you to get saucy. 2-drink minimum. And I'm just listening, and I just overheard, we're looking in the vein of an RPG. And I guess my eyebrow must have said something that made her say, "What?" So they buttoned that part up, and they just started talking amongst themselves. So I don't know if it's going to be an action RPG. I don't know if it's going to be a traditional RPG. I will hope that it's a traditional RPG, but the way they said it, it would be like a traditional RPG. And you can hold me to the fire. I swear I will come back on when a first game comes out and RPG.
Well, I mean, I'd say that's a smart guess regardless, honestly. Do you think it'll be first or third person?
I don't think it'll be first person.
Here. It'd be cool if it was a mix of both. Let me choose.
Let me choose.
Speaking of let me choose, you guys hear Cyberpunk is a first person RPG.
Yeah, but I gotta ask King though.
First person.
Yeah.
You say you hope it's a traditional RPG. Are you talking about like JRPG?
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I want
first person, man.
No, King David. I have to dispute this.
Go
No,
ahead.
nothing to do with Final Fantasy. Better touch the initiative. No turn-based. Nothing like that. This
No making different plates of exotic food and riding furry chicken ostriches around.
Hey Z, I want to know you. What do you hope that they are working on here? Good talk. Cool. What
do I think they're working on?
Yeah, what do you hope they're working on?
I don't know. It could be something big. I mean, it's not Fable. Somebody else is working on that, so I have no idea. But it better be good, and it's probably not going to be this generation.
No, it definitely won't. Well, the question comes to us thanks to Darge Knight on Patreon. Let us know in the chat, maybe the comments if you're listening after the fact, what you hope or think they're working on. And that goes for any subject here. If you got any questions about any of this, hit us up on Twitter. My DMs are open at dealer_gaming. And of course, if you want to become a sponsor of the show, get your questions and stuff on air and so much more, come on to the show, things like that. Check out the Patreon link down below. We are going to get out of here because, it's been quite some time. And we're going to start with some outros. Great show. Like I said, I would love to get more from everybody, but there's just a lot of people in today, and I think we managed it pretty well, kept it pretty calm. So I want to start with David here, man. Thanks for joining us, man. You were very patient. We appreciate it, man.
Well, listen, I told you I was definitely going to come through. I love everything that you guys are about. And I was very honored that you even invited me on the show. So I told you, come hella high water, I'm going to be at E3, but I will break off from E3 to definitely do the show. So I'm driving through LA traffic just to get to you. You can find me at Iron Lords Podcast Sundays at 1 p.m. Definitely tune in. Dilo was on
guys, a few different times. A good show.
Yeah, and Dilla is really Tim Dog. That's an on-running gag. You have to see the last show to understand what that is really about.
The show with the Iron Lords crew, me and Rand, and Tim Dog is on there. But yeah, you'd have to watch it. Just go check out the show. So yeah, find King David there on the Iron Lords Show Tick Podcast. Where are you at on Twitter?
Oh, you can find me at King David OTW.
Okay.
Check your channel after this.
Greg, go ahead and give your information, brother. Where can people find you, man? Thanks for joining.
You can find me on my name, Crazy Greg Films on YouTube. I also have a gaming channel called Crazy Greg's Gaming Channel.
Good.
There you
go. You got a Twitter?
Yes, I do.
You want to go ahead and read that off?
It is, well, it's Crazy Greg 0511.
All right. D Batch, man, thanks for joining us, brother. I know you came in a little late, you had some goats to pet and shit, but where can people find you, man, as usual?
You can find me at Twitter at D_Batch and YouTube at DBatch. And I just want to say really quick a PSA. If you go to Amazon right now, you can go to the E3 section and you can get the games at half price. And also 2 Xbox Game Pass is also half price right now.
What?
Yeah, Xbox Game Pass 6 months. You can get it for half price.
What?
I'm on it right now.
Go get them, Colt.
Good to know. Good to know, D-Batch. Hey, and for those still here, man, hit the like button on your way out, guys.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button. It really helps. Z, are you there yet?
I'm liking this thing.
I have to get me.
I came back to you for a question there, but you disappeared.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I do both. I'll give my outro and answer your question.
All right. Darge wants to know, out of any genre, any type of perspective, first, third person, what do you think the coalition or not the coalition, the initiative, the brand new Quadruple A studio are going to bring to us first?
Perfect Dark.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Good guess.
I would love for a new Perfect Dark game.
But then they get leaked by Walmart.
That's not. I don't think Perfect Dark was on there, but the initial.
No, it was a listing. It came up and they took it down right quick.
Some people said that was a fake leak.
Oh, I don't know. I seen it on Twitter. What the hell I know? Well, if that's the case, then
it must be true.
They're gonna dig up the assets from Shanghai Heights and get to working on it.
All right. Good guess.
Yeah.
And where can people find you, brother?
They can find me in their grandmother's bedroom, tied down to the mattress.
Jesus!
Wow!
You guys know the channel on Next Gen 720 NXT GN 720, And on Twitter,
Your new Twitter.
Almighty Next Gen 1.
Why they keep banning your ass, man?
I'll tell you after the show.
Oh man.
I wonder why. Damn.
So definitely follow Z there. Hey, Colt, where can people find you, brother?
They can find me at Colt Eastwood on Twitter and on Xbox, on PSN, and on Steam, and on YouTube. Yeah, everywhere.
And Grindr. Colt
yeah.
Eastwood.
Yeah. Thanks for your support. And what a good panel. Yeah, this was good tonight.
Great show tonight. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yep. Also, we've got Fonzarelli, Fraudarelli. Where can people find you?
Fraudarelli.
Yeah, they can find me at Jay Fonzarelli on Twitter and on YouTube. And I just put up a new video today discussing the entire E3. So check it out.
Good shit. I'm going to go retweet that bitch right now.
Oh, sorry. I was working on that all day.
Shady, where can people find you, man?
Oh, you can find me at the Sesh Empire. Don't be a peasant, become an agent. Hit that follow button, everybody. It was a damn good show. I'm out.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, guys. Thanks. You powered the show. You guys rock. We're out. And we guess we'll see you sooner than later. Check out my last video. Check out Colt's last video. Check out Fonzarelli's video. And, of course, like I said, let us know what you think about everything we've talked about tonight in the comments down below. We're out.
Peace.
Peace, all you crazies.
More flute.
Yo, Fonzie.
What's up? What's up, King?